behavior that would be worthwhile to live in this time. Those are the values that the concept of the Jewish tradition that was based upon the biblical laws. Let's remember that the source of those 7 laws based upon the first commandment that the first man in the world, were commanded by God, don't eat from the tree of knowledge. This is the source, the same verse in Genesis. This is according to the Gemara tractate Sanhedrin. This is the source of the 7 laws. A man should know that there is somebody above him. There is a God that gives the orders, that he is the source of the laws. This is the concept of Judaism. This is the concept of the 7 laws for the Noahide, for the moral laws, that everybody, even those that didn't hear from God the commandment to keep it, but everyone who has knowledge, he should understand that those moral values should be the basis for his life and for his society.
Thank you very much. Professor Enker, how do you see Noahide law as entering the legal systems of contemporary societies?
Let me open by saying that there has been at least 2,000 years of scholarly attention and thought given to the Noahide laws, not only on the most general and abstract level, but in very concrete circumstances as well. Of course, in the nature of these things, scholars disagree with each other as to what the law is and what the law should be and how it should be developed. But all that seems to my mind to represent the principle accepted long ago and formed the basis of biblical law, that both opinions, both sets of views have an element of truth and foundation to them, so that it is entirely possible that different societies might take the fundamental 7 Noahide laws and develop them, each one in somewhat different ways with respect to the details, as befit the culture and the thinking of the local society. It is not necessary that the Noahide laws be uniform across the world, be the same in every single country, so long as the basic principles of decency and fairness and right and justice and honoring other people's interests and rights be respected. So it is entirely possible that countries can, and in fact often they do, legislate principles and legislate the foundations of the 7 laws. Now, some of them are more acceptable to some societies, and some of them there's some hesitation. The Noahide laws can be divided into 2 groups, basically. One group being what we might call in modern terms the religious laws, or the laws between man and God. And the second group would be more social laws, the laws between man and man. In the first group, the tendency in modern society is not to promulgate much legislation, to leave that more to individual behavior. Although even there, cruelty to animals, which was mentioned earlier, is certainly found. The laws forbidding cruelty to animals is certainly found in the laws of many, many countries in the world. But in the area of social law, of law between man and man, fellow and his fellow man, certainly there is much room for learning, studying, and developing the Noahide law foundations. Every country, for example, in a normal society forbids homicide, but the questions can arise with respect to the details of homicide. For example, one of the issues that has been extensively discussed in the past generation has been laws concerning the abortion. Many countries have adopted balanced positions which forbid abortion basically, but allow abortion in certain sets of circumstances, the laws differing with respect to the circumstances. One may find many of these different opinions reflected in the post-biblical development of the Noahide laws. And so this is an example of what I would suggest is the different positions adopted by the scholars may be adopted in different countries, so long as there is a reasonable, honorable balance between the positions forbidding abortion in principle, basically on the ground that this is disrespect for life, and on the other hand, permitting it when stronger or greater interests outweigh the potential life of a fetus. Another example for this might be in the area of theft. Of course, every country has laws dealing with theft, but economic crimes are much broader than just theft and robbery and fraud and the like. There are many other forms of economic offenses, of ways in which people can injure other people economically. And the Noahide laws form a basis for a foundation for legislation in that area as well. I might mention, for example, one based on biblical law, but it is also part of the Noahide law, the withholding of wages to an employee, not paying him his due at the time when he is supposed to receive his wages. Now, generally speaking, that's not criminal, but the scholars of the Noahide law, also some of them hold the view that that can be dealt with on civil legislation by fines or by other sanctions, not necessarily criminal. In the area of defenses, there are also criminal defenses to crimes. There's a tremendous amount of literature. Here it's very interesting. The scholars of criminal law have developed much of this literature in recent years as well, based upon the earlier literature of earlier post-biblical scholars. And the defenses to criminal law, the general defenses, are respected and accepted in most countries, are available in the literature of Noahide law and can form a very good and reasonable foundation for further development in the legislation of many countries. Again, there are disagreements between the scholars, but that's to be looked on as a plus, as something favorable, rather than as some limitation. It encourages the further development of thinking and the like. The last point I would want to address is the level of punishment. Here some people might hesitate, because the classic statements in the Talmudic law of Noahide law are that violations of the Noahide law merit or require or call for the imposition of the death penalty. Yet here too, that statement has been understood in different ways. While some hold that death penalty is a mandatory offense, there are many opinions, especially in modern times, holding that that's simply a maximum offense, but every society has the right to legislate the level of punishment that it wishes to choose for itself, so long as the level of punishment is adequate to enforce the law and prevent violations of the criminal law and other people's rights. And therefore, the Noahide law provides a good basis for legislating penalties, criminal penalties, when necessary, as well as civil sanctions and civil penalties. So I think there is tremendous amount of information, tremendous amount of legal development within the scholarly literature that can be used as the foundation for promoting legislation in a range of countries, in a range of situations, with the needed flexibility and the opportunity for different cultures and different societies to adopt different views, so long as all of them adopt the